Hello, 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 everyone. Hello and welcome to the March 12th, 2018 edition of Sidereal Insights Astro Update. I'm Phaedra Mitchell. I'm the artist and astrologer of Mystick Physick Astrology. And I use Western Sidereal Astrology to help you reconnect with your soul purpose and remember why you came. And my main goal with these broadcasts and with helping you practice astrology is to always provide guidance on how we can consciously use the energy of the transiting planets to affect our lives in a positive way. Now, we do this broadcast from a sidereal perspective. Specifically, I use the Fagan-Bradley Sidereal Zodiac. So if you don't know your sidereal sign placements, you'll want to visit the website at mystickphysick.com, sidereal-tools, to find out what your sidereal placements are for free. I'm going to pull up my notes and we'll get down to business talking about what current sidereal transits are going on, how they can affect us, and what we might need to know about all of that. So here we go. Here we go. We are at the 12th, so almost halfway through the month now. We've had Venus and Mercury change signs early this month. They moved into Pisces almost concurrently. And so Venus is there for about 3.5 weeks. She's exalted in Pisces. So this is a high vibration expression of Venus for the most part. Mercury, however, is in his fall, because Mercury being, of course, the planet of communication, and Pisces being the area of the chart known for secrecy and privacy. And so being the planet of communication, their transit in our house are a sign of secrecy and privacy, is not necessarily ideal if you have things that you want to keep private, or if, you know, not necessarily ideal for secrets, if there are secrets that need to be kept for whatever reason. And so this is kind of an interesting transit because we have both of these planets here at the same time. And so what we'll see a little bit is a little bit maybe of a balancing each other out, but also a little bit of them working at cross purposes as they make different aspects during their transit. Okay, so with Mercury, let's talk about him specifically. So Mercury's entered the shadow of his retrograde, which is coming up on the 22nd. The retrograde begins on the 22nd. He entered the shadow right around the 8th, the same day that Mars changed signs, the same day that Jupiter stationed retrograde. So what this is going to do for Mercury is it's going to prolong his transit through Pisces. It's going to prolong his transit through his sign of fall. And so we'll be dealing with that for much longer than normal. Mercury normally takes about 3 weeks to transit a sign. He's going to be in Pisces for about 10 weeks total, direct and then retrograde and then direct again before he leaves for Aries. So keep that in mind over the coming couple of months, that we kind of have this slowdown of Mercury keeping him within the same range of degrees for an extended period of time. And what that means is you're going to need to be more vigilant for a longer period of time around communication, around privacy issues, around like if you're doing private negotiations or any kind of communication that's going on behind the scenes. So be aware of that, because if there's information that you do need to keep to yourself, if you let it get out, that can be detrimental to you while Mercury is in Pisces. Okay, so that was March 8th. March 8th was a super busy day that was just about 4 days ago. And so what's happening now is we're starting to feel this Mercury retrograde slowdown. And what we have between now and the 22nd is a wonderful time to prepare. And with Mercury retrograde, I find preparation is 90% of the challenge. If you can prepare properly ahead of time, you are more able to use that retrograde transit in a way that helps you rather than trying to fight against what's happening in the heavens, which is going to have an impact on you anyway. Mercury retrograde is one of those transits that affects pretty much everyone. It affects everyone in different ways, but affects pretty much everyone, unlike other transits, which might be more specific to people who's, have a certain sign ruler or a certain sun sign or ascendant. And I hope you don't mind. This is Penny, my kitten. She's chatting with us. She wants to play right now, and it's not the right time to play. So Mercury retrograde tends to super heavily affect folks with Gemini sun, Gemini rising, Virgo rising. But then right now what you're going to want to pay attention to is whether or not you have a, let me find the degree here. Did I write it down? Whether or not you have a planet or point at, let's see, I gotta scroll far enough in my notes. 22 degrees of Pisces. So this is where Mercury is going to station retrograde at 22 degrees of Pisces. So you want to check your sidereal natal chart to see if you have a planet or point there. And if you do, even if you don't have Gemini or Virgo sun or rising, you could still be very directly affected by the retrograde. So keep that in mind. And so what this is an opportunity for is to go back and review things you've been working on for the last several weeks and make adjustments or changes as necessary. And I might have to take this toy away from Penny because she's making some noise during the broadcast. So, same thing with Jupiter having just gone retrograde. He stationed retrograde the same day that Mercury entered shadow. So Jupiter retrograde is a much more long-term retrograde transit. It lasts for about 4.5 months. And so what this presents is a wonderful opportunity for a do-over. We talked about this a little bit in the March overview. It's an opportunity for a do-over in whatever area of your life you find Libra, whatever house Libra is in your natal chart. So that area of life, that's where Jupiter is stationed retrograde. And so what you have is this longer period in that area of your life to go back and take a look at what's going on there. How are you growing in that area of life? What projects do you have underway? And kind of review and see where you can make changes and improvements so that once Jupiter starts going direct in that part of your chart, you'll be able to basically just like jump in, fast forward once he gets back up to speed, because you'll be much farther ahead of the game. You'll have made whatever changes are necessary to your trajectory, to your growth, to your expansion, to any learning or knowledge acquisition that you're working on in the house that Libra occupies for you. Okay, so March 8th was kind of a busy day. Knowing those two retrogrades are getting underway, Jupiter and Mercury. Now next month we're going to have a couple more to add to that list, just as Mercury stations direct. So don't get too excited about starting big things in certain areas of your life, depending on what your chart ruler is, what your sun sign, your rising sign. And we'll talk more in depth about that at our next broadcast in 2 weeks. I might have to go grab another toy, guys. I'm sorry about that. But like I said, the Jupiter retrograde is an opportunity for a do-over. The Mercury retrograde is an opportunity for a review where you can do revision, you can rework. And then with Mars in Sagittarius, that's going to help give us a little bit of an energy boost in terms of what we can get done in these next couple of weeks, even though we do have retrograde planets in the heavens. Mars is much happier in a fire sign than in some other places where he can be. That's an 8-week-long tour. So we're going to have him there for almost the full length of Mercury's slowdown, his tour of Pisces. It's going to last 10 weeks. So keep that in mind as well. The Sun moves into Sidereal Pisces on the 15th. So this is a 4-week transit. Sun takes about 4 weeks through each sign. It happens just ahead of the new moon in Pisces, which is wonderful timing because then we're going to be able to set the stage for what that transit looks like. Now, Sun in Pisces, new moon in Pisces with Venus and Mercury all there. It's a lot of activity, including, you know, some nicer energies and some not so helpful energies. This is really a time where we have a huge opportunity for forgiveness and for confession, potentially. I think you could expect to see secrets come out. There's a bit of uncertainty around this particular new moon, in part because it's ruled by Neptune. Neptune, of course, being the planet of uncertainty, of illusion, of fogginess, right? A lack of clarity. Neptune can be, as I said in the March overview, notoriously slippery to try to pin down. So this is going to be a flavor for the coming 4 weeks, especially so because at the new moon, Neptune is unaspected, and an unaspected ruler of the new moon can make the outcome uncertain. It's kind of like a wild card effect where normally we would look to the condition of the ruler for the outcome of a new or full moon. The wild card nature of the new moon is going to be in play over the coming 4-week transit of Sun in Pisces. It's also going to be a bit in play over the coming 6 months. This is Penny. I hope you enjoy meeting her. It's going to be in play over the coming 6 months because each new moon starts a 6-month trend until the next full moon in that sign. And so keep in mind that this kind of this uncertainty, this wild card behavior is still going to be in play over a little bit longer term transit because it's happened because of it being at the new moon. Okay, so use this time. This is a wonderful opportunity, especially while Mercury is retrograde, to kind of, you know, if you have some reconciliation that you need to do, if you have someone that you kind of need to reconnect with and, you know, make amends or, you know, air your differences, whatever, consider doing that. This is a fantastic time to do that. But reconciliation can be a positive way to use a Mercury retrograde, and especially where he's retrograde in Pisces, this is a wonderful opportunity to ask for forgiveness or to offer forgiveness if there's someone in your life that you need to forgive. So I encourage you to consider using this particular transit for any of that which you may need to do. Okay. So the 19th coming up, we have a Mercury-Venus conjunction, and this particular conjunction is important especially for Taurus and Libra sun and rising signs, but it can also potentially bring important news to just about anyone. I didn't write down, did I? So the conjunction happens at 21 degrees Pisces. I did write it down. I'm smart on top of it this time, except for the cat toys. My apologies. So check your chart. If you have a planet or point at 21 degrees Pisces, the conjunction of Mercury and Venus in Pisces will likely manifest quite clearly for you, and you'll want to keep an eye out in the days around the 19th for how that does manifest for you. But also if you have Taurus or Libra sun or rising, as I said, Mercury could bring you news. So watch the days around the 19th. I would say within a day or two of that day, probably not too far around. It's going to be really close to the 19th if you have news delivered. You know, you can also choose to use that aspect consciously if you want to. You could give confession if that's a practice that you subscribe to. You could, you know, ask forgiveness if you feel that, you know, there's someone that you've wronged that you need forgiveness from. Make a promise to yourself. That's a wonderful way to use Mercury-Venus conjunction. Make a promise to yourself. That's going to happen the day before Mercury stations retrograde. So this is March 22nd. The retrograde beginning and ending dates when the planet is stationary are particularly powerful days for any planet, for any retrograde cycle. They're also quite unpredictable, usually a day or two before or after, depending on the planet. So be careful around the 22nd when Mercury stations. He's going to be acting up and he's going to be misbehaving. So definitely be prepared for that. And if you want to know more in depth how to prepare for Mercury retrograde, you can get a free excerpt of the Mercury retrograde survival guide. I can share a link for that if you like, but it'll tell you specifically things you can do to prepare and best practices for what to do during the retrograde and what not to do during the retrograde to kind of protect yourself from the more unfortunate ways that Mercury retrograde can manifest. But like I said, now's the time leading up to the 22nd to go ahead and do your preparatory work for that 3.5 week long retrograde. Okay. And then on the 26th, Venus is going to move into Aries, and that's where Venus is in her sign of detriment. Venus is very much, it's a planet we associate with things like vanity, right? Beauty, but also vanity. And then with Aries, this is a sign that very much represents the self. There's almost a selfishness to Aries in some ways. And so when you have these two energies working together, that can be less than positive, depending on what's happening in transit as far as aspects and things. So this is going to be a 3.5 week period when Venus is in Aries, where we'll want to tread a little bit more delicately with Venus. And what we'll do is we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth when we get to our next broadcast, which is coming up, I believe, on the 28th. We'll talk about that in a little bit at that time, and I'll have more details for you at that period of time too. Okay, so with that being said, one way that you want to kind of approach Venus's tour of Aries is not, don't get wrapped up in ideas about keeping up with appearances, or competing in that way, especially around image and around how other people see you or how you want people to see you. Just be careful that we may have a tendency towards those behaviors during that time. You'll just want to be aware of it so that you can, keep yourself in line, right? And then at the very end of the month, we have our second full moon. On the 31st, we have a blue moon. It's a full moon in Sidereal Virgo, and that is going to be a fun one for wrapping deals, for dotting I's, crossing T's, that sort of thing. It's going to signal an opportunity to either finish up projects or reap the rewards of efforts that you started about 6 months prior, when we would have had our new moon in Virgo, and that was last October. Okay, so be thinking back to that time frame, because that will be a clue as to what you can be finishing up towards the end of March. But happy spring, everyone. How exciting. I don't know about you, but I'm super ready for spring to get its butt here. I'm just scroll back through my notes because I did jump around. I want to make sure that I touched on everything. I haven't seen any comments or questions come through, which is just fine. But if you do have comments or questions, even catching a replay, please don't hesitate to post them, because I will keep an eye on the feed. I will keep an eye on the comments and questions, and I'll come back and answer them. I do have a couple of announcements. So Saturday the 17th, we have our full moon live stream at 7:30 p.m. We'll be doing our new moon live stream. I wrote full moon in my notes, and that is totally wrong. We'll have our new moon live stream at 7:30. We'll do our intention setting for the new moon in Pisces. And this is going to be a little bit more personal experience for a lot of us. We're going to, it'll be very personal, very intimate type of new moon intention setting for us. I want to give you a heads up. If you're on the mailing list, I will be emailing you a little bit more frequently because of the schedule changes to the broadcast. We're now doing the Sidereal Insights Astro Update every other Monday on the Mystick Physick Astrology Facebook page, and that's what you're watching right now. And then we'll be doing our full moon and our new moon broadcast separately at the new moon, at the full moon at 7:30 in the evening. And so I will be emailing you in advance of the live streams just to give you a reminder and a chance to join if you want to. So bear with me on that. And then I want to let you know, we just last month kind of set up our YouTube channel and started really using it actively. So don't forget that we have the YouTube channel in place now. You can catch a lot of our videos there. So if you are a user of YouTube, feel free to subscribe to the channel. I will share a link to that in the comments as well. Also, April horoscopes. If you're a subscriber to the advanced access, the April monthly overview plus short reports is available on the website, so you don't have to wait until April to read that. You can read it now if you have a subscription to the Sidereal monthly horoscopes, either a monthly subscription or annual subscription. The full score horoscopes by sign should be up by Friday. We're still finishing up the final signs. We'll get them up on the website. My goal with the advanced access subscribers is to have your advanced access in place by the time the sun makes its sign ingress the month prior. So We're not quite going to catch it by the 15th, but we should have, this month, we should have the April full horoscopes by sign up on the website for you to read by the 16th. If you're a subscriber, keep that in mind, because you'll get to read those horoscopes about 2 weeks ahead or so of everyone else. Okay, and then we do have the May horoscopes coming within the first half or so of April, so keep an eye out for those. And I don't see any questions. If anyone is on and has a question, go ahead and throw it in the comments, and if we see it here before the end of the broadcast, I'll go ahead and give it an answer. If not, if you're catching the replay or if you're watching this on YouTube, if you have any questions, please share them in the comments, and I'd be happy to come in and address whatever questions that you have about the current sidereal transits and how they might impact you. And say goodbye, Penny. Apparently, it's time to go play with some jingle balls. But thank you for catching the broadcast, and we'll talk to you next time. We'll see you Saturday for the new moon intention setting broadcast in the Sidereal Insights Facebook group here on Facebook. Thanks so much.